What's up? It's your boy Carcino here, and let's embark on a journey. And let's see how far the journey goes. The Charlie and Eddie stories. Oh, buddy, here we go. Part one. We'll start with the fallout. All you guys know really is Charlie and Eddie are brothers. That's the majority of you young people. You remember Charlie Murphy from the Chappelle show, and from that on, he became somebody you knew. Hey, that's Charlie Murphy. But Charlie Murphy, a lot of them like, man, he kind of looked like Eddie Murphy, and some people didn't even recognize him to CB4. When CB4 was out, that's when people was like, hey, man, that dude kind of like Eddie Murphy. Is Eddie Murphy in this movie? That ain't Eddie Murphy, but that dude look like Eddie Murphy. That's Charlie Murphy's brother. Oh, I'm finna say, man, because he looks just like Eddie Murphy. So everybody saw Charlie in different aspects of life in the movies. But when Eddie first started and when Charlie came home, he wanted to put Charlie into his films. And they had a whole series of different stories that happened that you can associate with them. So for this to be a situation where you see Charlie and go, man, like his career, he should have took off a long time ago. Like, man, he been in the game that long. People didn't even know Charlie Murphy been around and doing this and that. But Charlie was in the military. So when he came back, his brother was like the biggest star in the world. So he missed all those grinding years. So he came right in and his brother is attached to everything, and the youngest brother, he was into hip hop, Vernon Jr., they half brother. So he started working with Vernon Jr. and about, being a manager and putting out the K9 posse. Hardcore military. So they got their song actually played in the I'm Gonna Get You Sucker movie that came out during that time with Keenan Ivory Wayans and the Wayans brothers, because they was all cool with Ed at that time. So it was like all with one big comedic family. But people change. People do things, they go through changes, and once those changes hit, they become who you probably didn't think they were. Now, fame and all this stuff is, Eddie is doing that, and Charlie don't get involved. Like he's like cool with playing the background. He don't want to be hanging with those ritzy pritzy dudes. He's hanging out with people like Rick James and some other characters. You know, and people act like Charlie only hung out with Rick. Charlie hung out with a lot of people, but he was into like the nightclub life because he could disappear. Nobody ain't gonna care what happened with Charlie. Charlie can go off and do whatever he want whenever he feel like it. But all they always told Charlie is don't do anything that's gonna come back on your brother. You know, and that was the whole thing. Like moms told him and everything else. Look, don't embarrass your brother. Don't do something that's gonna make him look bad. And he's, oh, I got this. I'm gonna be out there protecting him. Cause man, I know you need some security. So He's like, man, you my brother, man. You ain't gonna be no security. Yeah, I'm gonna be doing this, but I'm also security. Cause I don't trust him or him. And that dude been giving me attitude cause since I've been in here. He called me Eddie Murphy's stunt double. He think he funny. See how many jokes he can tell he ain't got no teeth. I'm a grown ass man. Don't play with me. So I'm gonna go over there and check him. If he come over here one more time trying to audition for you. Cause that's what comedians would do. They'd try to show Eddie they funny, so Eddie would be look at them and put them in a movie or something. And it was a comedian we ain't gonna name right now. We might do it on the Patreon, but here we ain't gonna name. He come over Eddie. Ha ha Eddie. You know why? You know why the Gap Band used peanut butter and jelly? Cause they ain't know how to jam. Ha ha ha. You know, it was like some corny jokes like that. So anyway, his jokes was corny. And Eddie was like giving him like the fake laugh. Hey Charlie, yeah, get him the fuck out of here. So Charlie be alright. You gotta go. Eddie ain't feeling you right now. You want to be left alone. He's trying to remember his lines for his script. Oh, I don't want to bother Eddie. Just make sure he remember my name. So anyway, everything was going great, and Eddie decided because he had to deal with Paramount at the time, and Eddie was going into producing his own films. He wanted to produce his own films and he wanted to direct for the first time. So when he did Harlem Nights, he had already done another 48 hours and he had Harlem Nights he was trying to finish and he had been working on for quite some time with Richard Pryor. So while they was doing this film, things started to change. Like he was so focused in, he got Charlie there, and they loved it, man. It was like Ed was like feeling it, like man, this is gonna be epic. Harlem Nights is gonna be an epic movies, 1920s, so the period piece back in Harlem. They gonna love this film, and it was the first movie he had ever done that has really been dumped on that bad. It was this is a disgrace. Like every critic came out and smashed it because they could not have that movie be a hit. Paramount, what they wanted to do was keep Eddie Murphy in a box. So where he's just going to be the actor. He could produce some films, but we don't want you to go off into directing and then if this movie is a big smash, when it's time to renegotiate the contracts with Eddie Murphy, he's going to have a much stronger negotiating piece to where he wants to probably start out and get his own production studio. They wanted to smother his ambitions and pull the reins back by basically sabotaging their movie. So they came out with a strategy to sabotage him by dumping on his films. And we didn't, Eddie didn't understand why and all of these different things here. But they had a party at one of these events, and Charlie, one of the ladies there was a publicist or something. I don't know if she worked for Eddie or for the event. And they were like, okay, well, who's this guy? Who's this guy? She was like, oh, that's Eddie Murphy's brother, but he's a nobody. Like when they were taking pictures, she was saying it like to the press, and that Charlie was ready to snap at that point. So he was already mad about the publicist situation. He told Eddie about it, and Eddie didn't seem to really care too much. He was like, "Man, I don't know if that's your publicist or something, but you need to check it, cause she gonna tell the media like I ain't nobody important. I'm just your brother." I think that's she done went over the line. I think you need to check her and let her know who I am. So Eddie was like, "Oh, Charlie, don't worry about it, Charlie. I got it. Don't worry about it. Ooh, we gotta work on something. I got an idea, but we're gonna work on. We'll talk about it later. Just enjoy the party, Charlie." So at the party, I guess some producer was talking bad about Eddie, and Charlie got in there. It was some guy, but he was a somebody with Paramount. And Charlie, I guess they didn't like the way Charlie tone was to them, or something stupid. It was like three different lies I heard. It was Charlie grabbed a man by his throat. The guy tried to step to Charlie, flirt with him. I've heard all kind of goofy stuff throughout the years. It's like every year that story changes. And it's like Charlie did this, and Eddie had to get rid of Charlie. The Paramount's like he's got to go, and then Eddie chose Paramount over Charlie. So that's how the whole little riff happened. After the Harlem Nights thing, they kind of had a little falling out because Charlie felt like he's like Eddie's like, man, Charlie, they don't want you around, and I kind of can't have you around. Why this is going on. Just let it to wait till it cool over, Charlie. Charlie was like, you ain't gotta tell me, man. I don't need none of this. It. No, you ain't gotta leave. I'm just saying, they don't want you on the set. Charlie was like, once again, you ain't gotta tell me. Man, I already made my own moves. So Eddie felt guilty over what happened, so he started trying to look out for him and seeing what's happening. And the comedian Chris Rock, who he discovered and was up and coming, Eddie was like, let's get my brother in there. And Eddie pulled some strings to get Charlie that role in CB4. You know, Charlie auditioned, of course, and he was great as Gusto, because that's Charlie. He was like, man, that's Charlie there, Gusto. That was the perfect role for him. I don't even know why they even tried to do anything other than. But that was like the perfect intro, everything into Charlie's career was Gusto. To where people started to really notice who he was. So over the years, family worked things out, and then he just ended up, he would always go to Eddie's house, see Eddie, see the kids and everything, but he didn't come back into the fold because he told him Charlie was the one to tell him Paramount don't really want you no more. They want you for the right price. They want you to make the movies they want to make. They want you to do these sequels because they the one Paramount pushed for that 48 hours, another 48 hours. Eddie never wanted to make the movie. They pushed for it. They wanted it. And Eddie was not feeling it. And he really hated sequels. Because I forgot who told him that. Bill Murray. Bill Murray told Eddie Murphy, stay away from sequels. They'll ruin your career. He's like, because you're never going to outdo the first one. So, yeah, you're going to make some money, but it ended up ruining your career. I mean, he's like, what about Sylvester Stallone? I mean, he made Rocky, Rocky 2, Rocky 3. He said, yeah, but does anybody take him seriously? He's like, do you want to be taken seriously? Or you want to make a satire film like Rocky? He's like, man, if it's going to make as much money as Rocky did, I'm going to make as many of those as possible. So he made Beverly Hills Cop 2, And only when he made Beverly Hills Cop 2 did he understand what they meant. Beverly Hills Cop 2 was great to me. Eddie was paid a lot more for Beverly Hills Cop 2, but he was done with sequels. He didn't want to do any more sequels. And they pushed the narrative of another 48 hours onto Eddie. And Eddie was like, man. And Charlie told him, finish Harlem Nights. Don't worry. Don't do another 48 hours. He does another 48 hours. Finally finished Harlem Nights, which he wanted to do. He's putting his own money and time into this. He wanted to have a movie that brought all the black comedians together, all the classics. He wanted to make a classic film with them in it and make it great. And it's a wonderful film. I mean, directorially wise, it wasn't ideal for him to be the main character. And then, by him directing it, there's a lot of it he's not in because it's like a whole block of it where he just disappears. Like, oh, quick, gotta go and hide. When you're the main character, you just can't step out of your film for like a long period of time after the Dominique LaRue situation. But overall, it was entertaining. But Charlie was always very instrumental into Eddie's career. That's what people don't really understand. He helped with the creative process, the writing, the ideas. He brought a lot of that to the surface. So for Eddie not to have Charlie around, and plus Charlie's that brother, you can't lie to Charlie. Charlie knows you. He grew up with you. He knows the real you. So that guy's gonna remind you of when you losing yourself. He gonna remind you who you are and where you supposed to be and how you should be acted. You feel your most comfortableness, and you can see he was miserable without that piece. So after going through that process, him and Charlie, of course they made up and they was back. They brothers, so they always gonna meet up at the family house or whatever and see each other. But it helped Charlie more than anything to go through that because Charlie knew I got to do something for myself because he wasn't the type to just be some yes man sitting around doing nothing, just being Eddie Murphy's brother. So Charlie was in everything moving, and thank God for the Chappelle show because y'all got to see the best of what Charlie could do, and that wasn't even scratching the surface. As far as sketch comedy, everything, Charlie was very influential in making stuff happen, and I'm just glad people got a chance to see some of his brilliance before he left. But anyway, I'm gonna get out of here. We'll talk some more about some Eddie Charlie stories later on. Yeah, in the Patreon, we might go over this a little bit more in detail. But other than that, y'all have a blessed day. And don't forget, you can always donate to the page whenever you have anything that you want to donate to the page. You know it's rough times right now. Carcino is the name on the Cash App, and I'm out.